Let's talk business.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Critical Hit. Today we'll talk about why most marketing roadmaps fail before month of March and how we can avoid that from happening in the future. Because let's face it, marketing plans don't fail in January. They die quietly in February and slowly get buried under, we'll fix it next time. But guess what? This next time never comes. Here's what I've learned working with marketing leaders across many different industries. They walk into January like a blank canvas. Fresh budget, new roadmap, optimism is high, execution starts fast. But by February, momentum starts slipping away. Initiatives stall. No one wants to say it out loud, but everybody can feel it. You're already behind and it's only week 6. The deck looked amazing. The KPIs were bold. The calendar was full. But something's not clicking. This is the part no one wants to admit. The problem wasn't your ambition. It was illusion that the plan itself could do the work. Marketing roadmaps get treated like one and done document. Build it, prove it, launch it, get it done and over with. But the reality is, business doesn't move in a straight line, and neither should your marketing. Static plans in a dynamic world is almost like sailing with a frozen compass. Sure, you're gonna start, you're gonna have a direction, but when the winds shift, most teams can't adjust fast enough. Why does it matter? Because failing to adapt early in Q1 means you're spending the rest of the year catching up. That's why most roadmaps collapse before March. And this is exactly why I built this episode. I'm pulling back the curtain. Why the roadmap you launched isn't the one you're going to scale with. Hidden execution gaps that blow up best looking plans. How to spot failure signals early before campaign turns into a cost center. And how to build an adaptive roadmap that flexes without falling apart. If you've ever looked at your plan in mid Q1 and thought, this isn't working like we thought it would, you're not alone. And it's not too late to fix it. You know what no one says out loud in a boardroom? That beautiful roadmap you unveiled in January is probably going to crash before it ever hits Q2. And not because your idea was bad, because your team isn't talented, but because the real world didn't get the memo about your strategy deck. Most marketing leaders build roadmaps like GPS directions in perfect weather, assuming no detours, no flat tires, no construction zones. But here's the thing, your campaign isn't driving on closed tracks. It's a freeway full of moving cars, obstacles, sudden shifts, while competitors cutting across the lane. That's why so many plans fail before March. They're built on a static assumption, hoped for good conditions. They look strategic, but not functioning. Here's how it looks firsthand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You launch multi-channel campaign in January. Your team runs the playbook to the letter. By mid-February, results are lagging, but nobody wants to say it out loud. You start tweaking creative, adjusting targeting, hoping to salvage it somehow. By March, the plan is in a triage mode and nobody trusts the calendar anymore. You're reacting. You're not leading anymore. The truth, marketing roadmaps often die because of this disconnect with reality. They're created in strategy rooms, quarterly plans, not accounted for the turbulence. We scramble, therefore, we rationalize, therefore, and we lose clarity fast. Teams get burned out. Not because the plan was wrong, because it stopped being real. So if you're starting at your roadmap right now, wondering, why is this not working? Start by asking the right question. What assumptions did we make and which ones were wrong by February? If your marketing plan looks great in Excel, doesn't survive Slack though, you've already lost. You want to know where the marketing plans die? Not the data, not the creative, not even the market. They die in the handoff from strategy to execution. And therefore, it's not the ambition that kills the roadmap, it's undetected friction between vision and the operation. There are 3 silent killers that show up in almost every failed marketing roadmap I've ever seen. Number 1, siloed system. Your data lives in 5 different places. Your paid team doesn't talk to your content team. No one's sure who owns the CRM anymore. And that's not marketing team, it's a group project gone broke. When systems are siloed, the roadmap becomes a series of disconnected activities. Campaigns run, emails launch, ads spend, but nothing works together. You're not scaling strategy, you're chasing tactics. Number 2, fake velocity. This is a sneaky one. Fake velocity is your team is busy, nothing is moving. Slack channels are buzzing, Jira boards are packed, but campaigns are stuck in QA. The big bet you got? Still impending creative. Momentum is not about the noise, it's about the outcome. And if your roadmap is based on illusion of speed, it's going to collapse under the weight of unmet deadlines and unmet expectations. Unclear ownership. You'd be shocked how many plans failed because of this. We thought brand was handling it. Oh, I assumed paid had the assets. I think product was waiting on approval. Marketing isn't a scavenger hunt. But when ownership is fuzzy, accountability gets ghosted and deliverability stalls. Here's the harsh truth. If the roadmap isn't rooted, shared systems, real execution velocity, defined ownership, then your Q1 plans is a ticking time bomb. So ask yourself here, are your systems talking to each other? Is your team measuring output or activities? And can every task be tied to accountable owner? If the answer isn't yes, big problem. Now comes the good part. Answering the question on how we can rebuild mid Q1 and avoid that from happening ever again. And the toughest part, guess what? Ownership. Having to admit to the plan that was totally wrong. Picture this. Week 7, Q1, you're staring at a sauna board and realize something brutal. We're doing everything we said we do, but none of it is working. The roadmap was right, we had a clear ICP, messaging hierarchy, campaign calendars, and even a quarterly theme. But the numbers didn't lie. Email engagement was flat. Paid traffic bounced like a trampoline. Sales hadn't closed a single deal for you in Q1 pipeline. The team is burnt out, trying to keep up with a roadmap that already failed. It's gonna hit you. This plan is architected what we hoped could have happened, not the reality. In this moment, you need to kill the plan. Keep the goal, but kill the plan. Step 1, call a full stop war room. Not a meeting, not brainstorm, no slides, no fluff, just the team, the data, and one question. What's actually working today? Right now, run a brutal audit. Everything on the calendar went under review. Color coded. Green for producing ROI, inclusive but promising for yellow, red, time sucking black holes. You can guess it. Right? Step 3, we reframe roadmap around signals, not ego. It didn't matter if the campaign idea came from you, me, intern. If it showed a signal, we doubled down. If it didn't, throw it away. No politics. Most marketing plans fail because leaders are too emotionally attached to being right. They confuse leadership with control. That campaign can easily be a failure, or it can be a $180,000 closer pipeline by April with half the workload. Not because the plan isn't perfect, but because we rebuild it from scratch, from ground up, you and I together. Right? So now let's talk about the solution. An adaptive roadmap model that keeps your strategy fluid, but your team focused. The best plans bend, the worst ones break. You don't need a perfect roadmap, you need a flexible one that doesn't fall apart the moment real life shows up. That's why I no longer build annual marketing roadmaps that are set in stone. I build adaptive ones, living systems that evolve as signal comes in. Think of it like this. You wouldn't fly a plane without a cockpit that updates in real time, right? So why are we flying marketing plans with dashboards that only refresh on a quarterly basis? Plan in sprints, not quarters. We still start with a quarterly theme, but execution happens in a 30-day sprints. Why? Because 90 days, enough time to lie to yourself. But 30 days, that's accountability. That's traction. That's the truth. Each sprint ends with one question. What are we learning and what does it mean for the next month's plan? Monthly signal reviews. Every month. Signal reviews. 60-minute session that replaces the typical marketing update snooze fest to what campaigns or assets is punching above the weight. What tactic is eating resources without output? What audience segment is behaving differently than expected? This isn't just analytics, it's insights that you can, turn into actionable items. Because you don't need data, you need the right interpretation, right? Recalibrate, be ruthless, reprioritize. What can we cut? What do we double down on? What needs a reframe, not a rebuild? This isn't a pivot panic, it's controlled recalibration over a 30-day period. And over time, the team gets stronger, more creative, not just because they're focused on executing, they're also thinking outside of the box, they're participating in the creative moment, in the strategy too. Right? Because here's the thing, marketing roadmaps should not need heroes, they should be built to survive impacts. You're not behind, you're just running the wrong race. Ones with the prettiest deck, they're not the ones who hit publish on time, they're not the ones who have courage to say, this isn't working, let's change it now. That takes guts. Because admitting a marketing plan is off track feels like failure, especially when you sold it to the board, pitched it to the sales, got buy-in from everybody, right? Here's the truth. Leadership isn't protecting the plan. Leadership is protecting the outcome. You're not measured by how well you follow the script. You're measured by whether the business grew, pipeline moved, or positioning landed. Right? Killing campaigns that look on brand but act off track. Saying no to initiatives that won't scale, even if they were very popular. Letting go of your own pet projects when the data says they're just a noise. Prioritizing your team's clarity over the business or busyness. Right? But guess what? We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for a partner in truth. Someone who can say, here's where we are. Here is what we're doing. Here is the plan and how it moves the needle. If your roadmap needs a rescue mission every 6 weeks, it's not a roadmap. It's a repeated problem. So here's my challenge to you. before you dive into another week of deliverables, sit back, look at your Q1 plan, ask what was based on assumption instead of data, what's dragging instead of driving, what have I known isn't working but haven't said it out loud. Because real marketing leadership doesn't wait for March to admit the truth. Of course, we are now too late, but it's a good practice problem, right? And that's how we win for the rest of the year. And you can continue on this practice for the rest of the year. Most marketing roadmaps don't die from bad ideas. They die from ignored reality, fuzzy ownership, and refusal to adjust the course. Take a breath. You don't need to scrap everything, but you do need to stop hoping the plan fixes itself. Marketing, as I said, is not static. Markets shift. Customer behavior changes. Your own team dynamic evolves. So why would you pretend that your roadmap stays the same? The difference between teams who catch up and teams who scale comes down to one thing: how adaptable you are. Not pivoting for the sake of pivoting. Not burning down the house to feel busy, but having a roadmap that learns as it goes. One that collects signals, good signals. What actually works. Here's your move right now. Go back to your roadmap, put it through the filter. Where's the signal? Where's the drag? Where's the assumption that was not tested? What's missing ownership? And what's most importantly real? Then rebuild, smaller, sharper, stronger. Because real marketing leadership isn't about the plan that gets applause in January. It's about the system that drives results through March, July, and December even. So let's kill what doesn't work. Let's double down on what does. And let's build marketing systems that don't need saving, just steering.